Officials with an area health department say a recent rise in cases of the Delta COVID variant have led to a rise in vaccinations.
It's been 6 months to the day since rioters attacked the U.S. Capitol. I'm Skylar Henry on Capitol Hill with a look back and the steps officials are taking to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Vaccinations in the area see an uptick as the Delta variant continues to spread in Missouri. This is KOAM News at 5. In Barton County, in the last 7 days, healthcare workers have given 97 doses of vaccine. A month ago, it was only about 30 per week. Health Department Administrator Joel Dermott says it's encouraging to see vaccinations increase, even as the Delta variant has turned much of the state into a hotspot.
We hit a low point there where people really weren't interested in getting them vaccinated. But as this variant's come in, as our numbers have ticked up in the county and across the state, across the region, we're seeing more people wanting to get vaccinated, and so our numbers are getting back to where they were maybe in late March.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear from officials at Freeman who are seeing a high number of hospitalizations. The widening of 32nd Street in Joplin and funding to help with COVID-19 vaccinations for the health department are among the items of the Joplin City Council agenda tonight. KOAM's Chris Warner is live at City Hall with more.
Well, tonight's meeting has a number of topics on the agenda, but a couple of the bigger ones are the $8.6 million contract for that 32nd Street widening project and $180,000 to the health department in funding to help fight COVID-19. Now, the funding for the health department is being provided by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. It provides just over $180,000 in funding over the next 3 years to assist in planning and implementing COVID-19 and other adult vaccinations. And on first reading tonight is the $8.6 million contract for widening West 32nd Street from Schifferdecker to Central City Road. This contract is on first reading tonight, so it'll come before the council again before it gets final approval. And that meeting is set to get underway at 6 o'clock tonight, and we'll have more on that meeting tonight at 9 and 10. Reporting live from City Hall, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Chris, thanks. The Miami, Oklahoma Municipal Pool opened today for the first time this season. The pool has remained closed so far because the city needed to put a new liner in it and they didn't have enough employees to run it. That's all taken care of now, so residents are able to enjoy the water.
I'm just glad to see they got it going, got it open and got all the repairs done, the liner fixed and everything, and now it's going to be summer. Summer's officially here.
Pool is open on Tuesdays through Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The Route 66 Miami Splash Pad is open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Good day to head to the pool. Nick Kelly joins us.
Yeah, even though it wasn't quite particularly too hot down, temperatures were warm enough where you might have wanted to jump in the pool to cool down. But all the skies above us from 7th and Rangeline are still looking pretty good as we eventually get this Tuesday evening underway. Again, passing cloud cover, that's about it. Any big thunderstorms we're seeing severe weather-wise are staying well to the north and the upper Midwest, including parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa, while these are just regular storms trying to slowly wander across northwestern Kansas. I don't think any of those thunderstorm chances make it here tonight, but I think our rain chances will pick up pretty soon as we go into tomorrow. But we're in the mid-80s right now. Feels like the upper 80s when you factor in the slight bit of humidity in play. But we'll go from the 80s down to the lower 70s by midnight and down to the upper 60s for a mild start for our Wednesday morning. We'll time out our next chance for rain and break down the rest of the week here in a bit now.
See you then. Today marks 6 months since a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Images of that day were broadcast live all around the world and sent shockwaves throughout the country. Reporter Skylar Henry is on Capitol Hill with a look back and the steps taken since.
Just after 2 o'clock on January 6th, a crowd supporting President Trump breached the U.S. Capitol steps.
The House will be in order.
The House and Senate, meeting to count Electoral College ballots showing Joe Biden won the 2020 election, abruptly ended the session and took cover, including then Vice President Mike Pence. As the mob attacked outside, a group of lawmakers took cover inside the House gallery, later forming a support network.
We had a caucus call, and I said something about being trapped in the gallery. I mean, I think all of us felt like we had been forgotten up there.
When the smoke cleared that day, 4 people had died. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick died the next day. A medical examiner says he suffered 2 strokes. 2 more responding officers died by suicide days later. Now the House is in the process of forming a 13-member select committee to investigate the deadly assault after a bill to form an independent commission was blocked by Senate Republicans. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has named 8 members to that panel, 7 Democrats and 1 Republican. Congresswoman Liz Cheney.
We have an obligation to have a thorough, sober investigation.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has yet to fill his 5 spots. Meanwhile, the U.S. Capitol Police are moving forward with changes based on its Inspector General's reports, including enhanced training and planning, attainment of additional equipment and surveillance technology, and a new effort to recruit officers. More than 500 people have been arrested in connection to the assault, with hundreds of investigations ongoing. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Capitol Police Department's also brought in a retired Secret Service agent to help with department-wide training. Also added its first full-time emotional support dog this week, a 2-year-old black lab named Lila. The Pentagon says it canceled a disputed cloud computing contract with Microsoft that could eventually have been worth $10 billion. It will instead pursue a deal with both Microsoft and Amazon and possibly other cloud service providers. The contract is to build JEDI, the Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure, which will improve the Pentagon's communications in the battlefield. It was put on hold last year after Amazon sued the Trump administration, claiming bias. The U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is turning into a series of setbacks for Afghan forces. Taliban fighters are advancing in northern areas of the country. More than 1,000 Afghan soldiers abandoned their posts and fled into neighboring Tajikistan to save their own lives. That's according to Jadi government officials. The U.S. has pledged to deliver Black Hawk helicopters to the Afghan Air Force to help their efforts. Still ahead, keeping teens safe on the road.
Teenagers are more likely than older drivers to cause a crash, but some vehicles can help avoid an accident. I'm Bradley Blackburn with the cars experts are recommending for young drivers.
And next in Health Watch, how new technology is helping match people with the right clinical trials for them. Topping Health Watch today, the latest numbers from the American Academy of Pediatrics show more than 4 million children have now tested positive for COVID-19. 8,400 cases were reported the week ending June 24th. That's the lowest number of weekly cases since May of 2020. The CDC is investigating an outbreak of listeria infections linked to pre-cooked chicken. 3 people have become sick in Texas and Delaware, and 1 died. All 3 ate food served at a long-term care facility or a hospital. Pregnant women, adults over 65, and people with weakened immune systems are at higher risk for listeria infections. Right now, there are more than 378,000 clinical trials listed on the website clinicaltrials.gov. Millions of people look through the list each month to see if there's a new treatment, technology, or procedure that can help them or a loved one. But how do you know which one is the right one for you? Well, new technology is using genetic testing to make the perfect match. Andy Simon is a proud cancer survivor, ribbon-wearing man. Andy was diagnosed with glioblastoma multiforme, one of the deadliest forms of brain cancer.
He doesn't have long. That was my first thought.
But after surgery and taking part in a novel clinical trial, 5 years out, there's no reoccurrence of Andy's cancer.
There's no doubt in my mind that that clinical trial helped him.
There are more than 1,600 clinical trials happening right now for glioblastoma patients.
It's not so much about rushing to treatment, but rushing to the right treatment.
New technology called Genome Oncology Precision Decision works like a matchmaker, taking the genetic sequencing of the patient and running it through a database.
We can look at numerous genes that predict what might respond to therapies. Rather than telling them about the standard treatment, I actually know walking in the door that, hey, we have this great study.
Andy and his wife believe his clinical trial saved his life.
So I believe in my heart that all of that he went through is the reason that he's here today.
To celebrate his last treatment, Andy put on a cape to proudly show his Superman status.
My famous line is now, just have to kick its ass. And we've been doing it since, as a team.
And they'll continue to kick cancer together. Experts believe that genome oncology precision decision will also help to increase the clinical trial success rates by matching the right patients with the right therapies. The matchmaker works on all types of cancers. A new study suggests removing your wisdom teeth could give you a better sense of taste. Researchers with the Smell and Taste Center at the University of Pennsylvania say having your wisdom teeth removed can heighten your sense of taste over time. The scientists analyzed data from 1,255 people over 20 years on detecting sweet, salty, sour, or bitter tastes. One explanation is taste bud nerves damaged during extraction developed long-term hypersensitivity to taste. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, car sales continue to drop, falling for the second month in a row.
But I am keeping an eye on rain chances eager to return. We'll see if that can lead to a bit of a cool down coming up next. We kept things nice and quiet once again while our warm spell continues across the four-state area. Case in point, the temperatures from Joplin Regional over the past 36 hours show that, as advertised, we hit highs in the upper 80s yesterday. The warmest number I have from yesterday is 86 from 5 p.m., but we did hit about 88 yesterday afternoon before we started to see the sun set in the western horizon. We dropped back into the middle of the upper 60s this morning and then right back into the upper 80s for this afternoon with just a slight bump in the humidity. So with that in mind, we're going to stay fairly warm throughout the course of the week with maybe a few days trying to flirt near 90 or creep into the lower 90s. But I'm still watching rain chances for tomorrow and even better rain chances by the weekend, along with the cool down, as we could see not only a good front try to squeeze through, but a change in the upper level setup try to aid in that cool down. For the time being, though, partly to mostly sunny in Joplin with a temperature of 86 at the 5 o'clock hour. It feels like 87 though, with the dew point sitting at 63 and that southeast breeze at 5 miles per hour. Most of us are sitting in the mid 80s, especially in southwestern Missouri, but we're seeing some mid to upper 90s across our corners of Kansas and Oklahoma. You couple those temperatures with dew points sitting pretty much in the mid 60s. Yeah, it feels a little bit sticky outside, but it's just enough humidity to make it feel like 91 in Chanute, 89 in Miami, 87 in Carthage. So upper 80s, lower 90s is what it feels like right now, but overall still a pretty good evening for outdoor plans. In fact, we keep things quiet and warm for the rest of the evening, as a matter of fact. 76 by 10 o'clock, down to the lower 70s by midnight before we drop back into the upper 60s first thing on your Wednesday morning. A wider view shows not much happening here while I'm watching thunderstorms out in western parts of Kansas, but the bigger weather story across the entire country is Elsa. 70-mile-per-hour winds, so it's a pretty strong tropical storm, and it looks like there's enough wind shear holding back and warm temperatures just off the Florida coast that this wants to briefly become a Category 1 hurricane by the time it comes close to Tampa and St. Petersburg as we go into tomorrow morning, 1 o'clock our time, 2 a.m. their time. And then you see as it works over land, northern Florida and along the Carolina coast, this will weaken to a tropical storm again while we continue to see a lot of rain being the big issue with Elsa as it continues onward. We'll keep an eye on this system while we also watch our next front. That's going to be our next big weather maker as this upper level wave is trying to push back on the ridge and try to send this front closer to us. It doesn't completely pass on through, but as it gets closer, we will see rain chances tick up tomorrow. In fact, partly cloudy skies for this evening. Again, we're dry for this evening. I expect any of the storms out of northwestern Kansas to stay away from us. But as we go after tomorrow morning, after we start in the upper 60s, we will hit the afternoon, mid 80s, and then throughout the afternoon, enough heat and humidity will result in some scattered storms. Not expecting anything strong or severe, but the strongest of the storms, rather, could try to produce some heavy rainfall. 69 in the morning, 86 by noon. We'll see afternoon highs tomorrow topping out around 90 with the southwest breeze at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We'll back off on the rain chances Thursday. Can't rule out a stray storm, but we're mainly dry Thursday. Highs here 87. Hot but dry to start the weekend out with highs near 90, but then as the rain chances return through Saturday and Sunday, Dow, that'll temporarily send highs back into the lower 80s.
Lower 80s sounds pretty good.
Yeah, for July, we'll take that for sure.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up, checking out the safest cars for new teen drivers. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Toby Huff served in the U.S. Air Force from 1966 to 1971. The Joplin native was stationed in Vietnam, and we salute Staff Sergeant Toby Huff, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, car sales dropped for the second straight month, falling below pre-pandemic levels. Imported car sales slumped 13% in June, while domestic sales were down nearly 9%. The biggest problem, a shortage of semiconductor chips, which are essential components in new cars and trucks. That's driving up costs and causing vehicle shortages. Summer driving season is here, which can be dangerous for younger drivers. A new report identifies the cars that can help teens stay safe on the road. Bradley Blackburn reports.
Teen drivers can easily be distracted and don't have the experience behind the wheel to avoid a crash. That's part of the reason teenagers are 3 times more likely to be involved in a fatal accident compared to older drivers. Consumer Reports' Jennifer Stockberger says it's important parents make sure new drivers have the right kind of car.
For a lot of parents, impulse might be to buy the cheapest car on the lot. You say that would be a mistake.
Right. You want to get as much safety as you can afford.
Consumer Reports teamed up with the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety to create a list of new and used cars for teen drivers. There are 90 vehicles ranging in price from $6,400 to nearly $40,000. All received high marks for reliability and crash avoidance. Vehicles also performed well in crash tests.
It's really important to select a vehicle for a teen that will help protect them. If they do get in a crash, you want them to have as much protection as you can afford.
Newer vehicles have better technology to help prevent an accident in the first place.
What I think you want to do is skew to that crash avoidance side. What are the features that can keep them out of that crash? Knowing their judgment is in there, how can the car help them be better drivers?
Stockberger says parents should steer clear of sports cars and stick with safety. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
That list is broken down by price, vehicle type, and whether they're new or used. To see the complete list, go to the automotive page of KOAMnewsnow.com and click on the article. Trials of a 4-day work week in Iceland have been deemed an overwhelming success. A 4-year study conducted by Iceland and UK researchers had workers in a range of professions shift to a 35 to 36-hour work week. The result? Well-being dramatically increased and stress and burnout improved. As for productivity, it remained the same or improved. France's champagne makers are furious about a new Russian law requiring a sparkling wine label on their bottles. The law applies to all imported bubbly. Domestic producers are exempt. A French champagne industry group says it has an established right to use the term and that the term champagne can only be used for the beverage if it's produced in the Champagne region of France. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. And then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more from area health departments about a recent increase in people seeking COVID-19 vaccinations. Plus, authorities in Joplin charge a man involved in a fatal crash over the weekend. And Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes teams up with USA Football to host a series of youth football coaching clinics across the region, including Webb City. Stay with us. CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6. Yeah, it is warm out there. What you would expect, I guess, for July in the 4 states.
Yeah, but thankfully we're not seeing much of this true summer heat, which we could certainly see any time during this month now. But we'll drop back into the upper 60s tonight. We'll have to go back near 90 tomorrow. More humidity as well, as we'll see a resulting increase of thunderstorm chances scattered in the afternoon. 87 on Thursday, 90 Friday. Then we'll see better rain chances and a bit of a cool down by the time the weekend really gets going.
That'll be welcome. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.